Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. It's Dr. John Terry with Legacy Marketing Group, and I'm glad you are here for this installment of Tune Into Sales. Today, I am excited to bring to you someone I met a couple of weeks ago at a conference in Texas, along with his amazing wife, Elle, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. Super excited to have in the room the founders of Jumpstart Go. Today, I've got David Denny. So, David, as we open, why don't you give everybody kind of a quick overview, who you are, what you and Elle do, and the value that you guys bring to the financial services industry.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. And it was a blessing to meet you at the event as well. I'm David, and my partner, who's also my wife, and Elle, started Jumpstart Go about 8 years ago. We originally both came from marketing consulting backgrounds. And if we go back far enough, we actually started dating in high school and got married at 21 in college, and worked with a lot of different industries before 8 years ago with a third partner of ours, really focusing to the insurance space, working with agents and agencies. We're licensed ourselves. We've sold ourselves before, but really focused around helping them grow and scale through leveraging organic social media to bring in clients, referral partners, even team members without paid leads and paid ads. So we really live and breathe social media and really how to leverage it for personal brands and growth.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed you guys' conversation that you had from the stage and getting a chance to kind of dig into what you do. I find it fascinating because many of the financial advisors and agents that we work with, a lot of them are still asking questions about social media. Does it work? Is it beneficial? Is it something we should ignore? So really, I guess the question for me as we kind of open this series is, should social media really be an integral part of a financial professional's marketing initiatives as they're trying to reach an audience? And if so, why?
Social media, and I talk about this a lot, is a tool. And there's a lot of tools you can use for growing your business. You know, if you're an agent or advisor, you're probably using a lot of different methods now, maybe paid leads, maybe going out and doing grassroots in your area, maybe seminars. There's a lot of different tools. Social media just happens to be one of my favorites, and I think one of the most scalable and profitable ways of an opportunity you can leverage. As the average American spending 2.5 hours a day on social media, we know audience is there. I don't think anybody can really deny that social media is powerful today. Agree or disagree, but we have presidents and Congress people and all kinds of people leveraging social. We know that that's where attention, and honestly, for good or for bad, where probably most people get their news is from social media even. So things have changed a little bit, maybe a little bit moving away from maybe more traditional radio or television, just to where people are spending a lot more time on social. So wherever people gather is an opportunity. That's where my audience is. So I want the opportunity to connect. And ultimately, the number one metric we really focus on is that we can control is conversations I'm having a day. Am I having conversations with my target audience, potential referral partners, or potential team members for my business? And where can I go to have those conversations? Social media is built to get in front of people, to connect and have conversations. So I just use the platform for what it's already built for to make those things happen. It's very scalable. We can talk about some of those things, but you can also have a lot of fun while doing it too, which I try to help educate people so it's less fear, less nervous, which 85% of people come to us are self-described not a social media person or nervous. I've got 3 83-year-olds and an 84-year-old that work with us. So it really is, hey, am I willing to maybe learn or put something new in place that I know can be a huge payoff, and more that branding play, people know me, come to me, and makes it easier for converting them.
Yeah, and you made a really powerful statement, David, that I really kind of want to lean in on, is you said where people gather, that's where you want to be. And I think that's one of the powers of social media that many financial professionals often overlooked. They think the only place people gather is in a restaurant or, in a library or someplace like that to come to an event. But they don't realize, as you said, people are spending 2.5, 3 hours a day or more mindlessly scrolling these little computers that we carry around in our pockets. So, David, that kind of leads to the next question. For the agents and advisors that are using social media today, and there's quite a few of them that are
Mhm.
embracing it at some level, a two-part question. What are they getting right, and what are they getting wrong?
That's perfect. And before I jump in those two parts, I'll actually come back what you said a little bit earlier that, yeah, whether it's dinners or holding events at libraries, all these things, traditionally you would go out in your local area and you'd build relationships. You'd go to where people gathered, and whether it's, BNI or networking events, or go, meet people at businesses, you went to the town square to find your audience, connect. You couldn't just sit and wait for someone to find you one day. And it's just changed to now where social media is the town square where people are already gathered. They're even segmented in groups like Facebook groups based on interests, hobbies, locations. And so it's not even that they're just mindlessly scrolling. People are connecting and having conversations about businesses or hobbies like tennis or pickleball. All this stuff is happening on the social aspects, but it also plays into even local too. We have a lot of clients that leverage the social, and when they go somewhere locally, people recognize them, they're a local celebrity. And it's like, oh, I really want to talk to you. I love your videos. I've got 5 referrals for you. And they're like, David, I've never met this person. I was like, yes, that's why we do social. They're already warmed up, ready to meet you, right? So it's not a brand new thing. It's just a shift of what agents and advisors have been doing for a long time, just more moving to the digital side, to still go along with in person. I love in person. So, but I find they go really well together. Now, as far as agents leveraging today, what are they getting right?
Hmm.
They're getting right the personal, like, brand side. Like, social media is such a great way for people to know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing. Like most people, you probably didn't get into insurance or into being an advisor when you were a kid growing up. I want to be an astronaut or get into insurance when I grow up, right? So we all have a reason we're usually here, whether a personal impact or reason we want to help others, or even the particular demographic or niche that we help there. So it's a great way to who am I? Who am I helping? How do I do that with, along with that personal aspect of, hey, what do I enjoy? How do I connect? And how does that tie together with my audience too? So people that really understand that personal brand side of, hey, these multi-billion-dollar companies are spending hundreds of millions to develop personal brands because they know how powerful that is. Like Jake from State Farm, Flo from Progressive, they are literally creating personal brands because they know people connect with people, not a logo or an entity. And you already have that advantage as an agent, as an advisor. You have a personal brand that you can be putting out there, building and having your exact clients you want to connect with versus trying to chase and find them. So I find agents that get that of like, I am the connection, and putting that out there are doing that right. And they also, when it comes to content on the business side, a lot of them are getting it right on the educational piece. They're approaching it from an educational perspective versus a like pitching, come buy a policy from me, or a like fear perspective, which can be powerful, but usually doesn't result them in working with you. It results with them going with someone else because people don't remember what you say. They remember how you make them feel a lot, right? And so people that really like, oh, you do a GoFundMe, you don't care about your family, or you're buying coffee instead of taking care of it isn't what shifts them to trusting and working with you. It may have them consider the perspective, but ultimately the agent's usually doing that because I want to connect with them and be able to help them. What they're doing wrong is they're either not taking advantage of social at all, which is missing a large opportunity. Honestly, the lowest hanging fruit in my perspective, that's pure profit, because if it's all coming to me, that's less I have to go pay for or find. But what they're generally getting wrong is usually they don't understand how it works in the first place for the actual algorithm and how it's designed and the science behind it. And this is where you end up doing a lot of work and effort for little to no results. And this is what frustrates people, or I can't figure out social or it doesn't work for me, because they're fighting against how it's actually designed to work. And that's where knowing how the systems work and put in place saves them so much time, effort, and energy for a lot more results and actually having success with it. So I find that's the biggest shift that they can make, is really understanding why the certain things work on it.
Yeah. So David, let's kind of build on that a little bit. Can you give one example of where they get it wrong when it comes to, let's say, the algorithm, and how they're actually fighting against the algorithm or doing something that actually reduces their results? Can you share one idea?
Absolutely. And this is usually one of the first things I cover whenever we do trainings or any speak on any stages of podcasts and stuff, because it's really critical to understand why it works the way it does so I can use and leverage it. I don't want people wasting time and energy. And one of the first things, understanding it's designed and built in order to make that company money, right? Facebook, for example, is a business. It's on the stock exchange. They're going to get fired if they don't make their money, right? And understanding, okay, well, what drives that money? Ads. They get paid for ads, right? That's why it's free for us to use. It's not a nonprofit. And Zuckerberg, he might be a nice guy, but he wants to make his money. And they make their money through ads. And so understanding like a personal profile versus a business page, I think is one thing off the bat, right? Most people, hey, personal, that's me, my dogs, travel, coffee, kids. That's where I do my personal, and business pages where I do my business and I talk about, and educate them about insurance. And it would make sense. And Facebook's happy for people to think that way because it results in more money for them at the end of the day. Because if they make their money through ads, they have no incentive for me to go use a business page to go acquire clients for free and grow an audience and bring those people to me without paying for ads because they'd go out of business. And they know this. They're smart. And so they designed it in such a way that they limit the reach, which is a fancy word for how many people see anything I do on a business page, to typically a whopping 1% or less. So that means if I had 1,000 people following that page, I spent time, energy, and money to gather. I'm lucky if even 10 people out of that 1,000 see anything I do. I always say it's like having a Michelin star restaurant in the middle of a desert. It doesn't matter if the food is amazing, the service is amazing, if no one knows you're there. It's the same thing as an agent. It doesn't matter how amazing the educational pieces are, how much you can help people with what you do, if no one sees you talking about that or discussing that at all. Right. And so I tell people it's good to have a business page, but that's not where I focus my time and energy because no one's really going to see it. It's like putting a flyer up in a dark closet that no one's going to go into. Right. And a personal profile has the opposite perspective. Once again, it all comes down to what generates the company money and how they designed it. A personal profile, Facebook wants people connecting, chatting, having conversations, watching videos. They don't really care if it's puppies or politics. The content doesn't matter as much to them as much as does it keep people on the platform and for as long as possible. The longer they're there, the more ads they serve, the more money they make. That's what drives revenue. That's what they like. So they reward that. That's why engagement's so important. That's also why the platforms are kind of addictive. I mean, let's be honest. Facebook and Google just lost a case recently because they're built to be addictive, which is also how they make money. And on the flip side, if it causes people to leave the platform because they got bored or they went somewhere else, then they can't make money serving them ads. They come back. So they punish that. So a lot of this plays into how it works or doesn't work. So there's a common example, not just personal profile or business page, which you should definitely leverage a personal profile, but using links. That's probably one of the biggest things I see agents do, that they think they're doing something good, which, the information's good. Here's a link to my calendar, a policy review to book a financial audit with me. Here's a video explaining part A, B, C, D, L, and P of Medicare, whatever that is, right? And that I made on YouTube. And there's like, why am I getting crickets when I'm doing so much work and so much good content and so much help I could provide? But those links are essentially like walking in a Starbucks saying, hey, everybody, don't buy any coffee here. Stop what you're doing. Come over next door. Coffee's way better over here instead. Starbucks not a big fan of that. Wouldn't recommend trying it. And neither is Facebook. Me literally trying to send people away from the platform. Why would they promote a post with links to take them away and cost themselves money? So what they do is they purposely limit that to very little or to nobody. And this is where people can feel like they're doing a lot of work and getting crickets because they're literally fighting against how the algorithm's built to work in the first place.
That's interesting. So is there a best practice? I mean, when we think about financial advisors, maybe they're new to social media and they're just looking to get started. Are there some tips that you can share, David, in terms of the frequency, the type of content, and even preferred platform
Mhm.
that an advisor should consider?
So let's start with the platform. There's a lot of different platforms, but what I find is whatever's easiest and quickest to results tends to be what people put in place and can grow initially.
Hmm.
Most advisors are not looking to be the next Kim Kardashian, and they're not looking to be an influencer with tons and tons of followers. They're looking to use social to grow their business. So it matters about getting in front of the right people at the end of the day. And so with that, I know they don't want to be full-time content creators. So most advisors and agents would rather murder me than go do 4 videos a day that's really required to grow and scale on TikTok. I know this, and this is why I'm not generally going to recommend to go use TikTok as the first platform. It is fun. I do enjoy it, but Facebook tends to be the simplest, fastest, and easiest platform to leverage and grow and scale and get results with the least amount of content. Most of our clients doing one post a day, less than 5 to 10 minutes. In fact, I'll let them on a secret that I'll talk about in a second, that content's not even the most important part. It's what people focus a lot of time and attention to, but I'll talk about why that's not the most important. But Facebook also has 3 billion active users every month. It has the largest audience. It has your audience for sure on there. But the other big factor with Facebook too is it has Facebook groups, which no other platform has that and at that capacity and activity level. It's already taken people and segmented based on interest, location, hobbies, making it so much easier to find your target audience or referral partners right from those groups. And we have clients that do quarter, 500,000 a month in premium from a group they didn't even start, that all that insurance business comes to them. They're sole agent inside of that Facebook group, right? So I'm not talking about a few pieces of business. I'm talking about scalable business coming off of a platform. So we recommend Facebook initially. It's just the easiest, quickest one to really leverage and has advantages like that. And we do recommend focusing on a single platform until you're doing over 1 million revenue from it. And then you can look at a secondary. So don't try to be everywhere all at once. It just diverts energy. Kind of like the new agent that's starting 8 businesses at a time. It doesn't really work versus focusing on single one and scaling that. So that's what I'd say as far as platform. Now, as far as tips, we already covered, definitely want to use the personal profile, right? And there's definitely a mix of content. Like I said, content's not the most important piece, but when I do content, I want to make sure it fits strategically into what I'm doing, even if it's not business related. So this is where we get very deep into knowing your target audience. If I ask you your target audience and you say anybody can fog up a mirror, or people that are families or homeowners, you haven't narrowed stuff down really at all. That's like, who's part of a family? Everybody in the US in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, so really got to know your target audience. And the more you know that specific audience, the more successful it would be. Also, people niche down and 10x their business because they focus to a niche. So knowing the target audience plays into what type of content I'm going to create. And I can relate that to myself as well. Say I'm into pickleball or fitness and health and going on walks. Well, I can relate that type of content of what I'm already doing to my target audience that also is into health and legacy and wealth. And I can tie those things together, right? We have people focus on senior audiences and they're on all these pickleball Facebook communities and silver sneakers, and all that business for annuities and stuff comes over to them. And it's something they already enjoy doing anyways. So you want to be strategic with the content, and the ratio is about 80% personal to 20% business. And the business side is educational when it comes to that 20%. So there's a lot more when it comes to content, but at the end of the day, we try to make the content as simple, quick, and easy as possible, still fitting strategically, because it's the other areas that are probably even more important to getting to the actual conversations, which is where the meetings, sales, conversions, or recruits come from. And that's what I really want to focus on each day is, am I getting in these conversations that I can turn into results?
Sure. So David, do you recommend curated content that you're building and then posting, or does the idea of doing something where it's an impromptu and live to just show up randomly or at a specific time every day? What are the benefits of curated content versus live, spontaneous content?
So the benefits of curated content, of like planned content that you're doing, is that it makes it easier to be consistent, right? And that's the thing. Social media rewards consistency more than anything else. Doing 5 hours on social one day and nothing for the rest of the week is less effective than doing 10 minutes a day on social, right? And that's all because social needs that content to serve people, to keep people on social. If it's getting engagement and attention, then it wants to reward it even more with reach. So consistency is important. And so when it's curated and planned, it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but I can do like an hour where I plan out my content, get all my content done, schedule it out for each day. So it's scheduled for each day. And I make sure that something's going out each day because I already took an hour and just got it all done and scheduled out for the week, right? So curated allows you to be more consistent, allows you to plan, and so that it fits within your content pillars and strategically. And it takes some pressure off, especially for people that are maybe nervous or newer to social that can't just like, let me pop up a camera and just talk to my audience real quick, right? And like anything, it's a skill. As you do more of it, you get more comfortable with it over time, right? I would go back and look at some of my first lives, 10 years ago. They're terrible. They're so terrible, but they were great for back then, and then it just got better and better over the years, like with anything. Now, spontaneous is is fun. It's a great way to connect. I do encourage as people are at a cool event or talking to someone or speaking and can capture some content like at the SWAT event or have a question that popped up. So a client asked them, they're like, oh, that'd be really good to do a little video answering that question. All of that is great. Social used to reward, specifically talking about Facebook, used to reward Facebook Live a little bit more than it used to. But the thing is, I treat live content like it's going to be a recording that I'm going to use anyways. So I'll go ahead and do it. And then it's a piece that can still be valuable after it's done. Or especially if I covered a few topics or a few pieces of advice, I can then put a post of, hey, I just did this video covering these pieces of advice. Who wants a copy of this? And now I can get all this engagement of people that are interested in that. I can move it, shoot it. Hey, I'll send it over to you, John, in a private message. And now I can get into a private message conversation. Here you go. Ask some questions, a book off to an appointment from there. Right. So there's a lot of ways to use it. And if you're building the right audience and doing kind of the rest of the strategies right, it doesn't really even matter how many people hop on when it's live. Like we had a client that focuses on advanced life markets and annuities, and he was doing a live one day for about 15 minutes educating on something, and he had one person on there while he was on there. That person reached out directly after. He wrote $1 million annuity from that one person, right? So pretty worth his 15 minutes of time for that at the end of the day. So it's great to be spontaneous, but honestly, curate is going to take a lot less stress off of you, just making sure that's out there. And then you can throw in spontaneous when you feel like it.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to something you mentioned a minute ago, talking about Facebook groups and the
Mhm.
power of a group. Is there an advantage or a disadvantage to having a public group versus a private group, maybe for your clients? Are there pros and cons to either of those, or do you recommend both?
So I generally don't recommend initially like running a group. Running
Okay.
a group and getting it started and taking off is a lot of work. It's more of a long-term play, expect like kind of like SEO and stuff there. It's not something that will immediately produce results, and it's a lot of work for the first 200 and the first 1,000 members, where you are creating a lot of the content. You're trying to make engagement happen. Because the thing with groups is, even if you're in a group, if that group starts not having a lot of activity, engagement, and people aren't putting stuff in there, then people stop seeing stuff from that group, even if they're still in it. Facebook just stops serving it to them. So it's almost like they were never in the group. So unless you're really planning to grow and scale that, get that engagement going there and people seeing that, then I wouldn't recommend starting one. It's just not an easy thing to start off and put in place. And it can be something I come back to later. It's much easier to leverage existing groups that are already there, that people have already been gathered or segmented or put in place. And so I generally recommend that because half the majority of the work's already done in getting that group together. And now I can go leverage that. As far as public versus private, when I look at groups, public typically can be a lot bigger, but it's really rare to find really well moderated public groups because they can't control very well the people that are coming in. And so it's just a lot tougher to keep it high quality. So you can look at the public groups, and if it's mostly just people pitching businesses and no engagement, then it doesn't really matter how big the group is. No one's seeing any of that content. Versus private is probably moderated, and it's going to be a lot easier for quality content, connections, and stuff in there with the private groups. So a couple tips there is I want to find groups that are relevant in some way to my target audience, either hobbies or interests that they're involved in and around, which are actually probably the most fun and some of the best, or around like the things that their pain points or concerns for them that tie a little more directly into what I do, or finding groups that have my strategic referral partners in there. If I partner with a lot of CPAs, I want to find group CPAs are in, for example. And you can build a lot of connections through groups. I recommend making friends with the admins moderators because you do get special treatment and can do a lot of great stuff. Always good to make friends with them. But the one common question I get with Facebook groups is like, if the group's about pickleball, how do I talk about business? Because they're going to immediately kick me out of that group because they don't allow business posts. And that's correct, right? And I don't go walk in a room for pickleball and say, hey, who here wants an annuity? Like that's going to be awkward or weird in real life. It's the same thing of hopping in a group around pickleball and trying to pitch people annuities. You don't do that, right? But I still want to end up in front of them. So one concept that I think would be helpful here is a concept called affinity. And it's part of the algorithm. on Facebook, for example. And Facebook is looking for connections and to connect people and have people get stay on the platform as long as possible, which comes from that. So Facebook friends, being connected as friends, is a big piece of that, but it measures everything else. Like how long did you stop and spend time on a post? Did you guys talk with each other in the comments? Have you guys had Facebook messages? Have you been to their profile? All of these things play a factor with this affinity. So even if I'm in a group with you, John, about pickleball, and we're talking about pickleball a little bit in the going in the comments or something there, Facebook says, "Hey, John and David may not be Facebook friends, but they chatted a little bit here. You know what? I bet they probably want to see some of each other's content potentially in their news feeds. So now it'll take some of my personal profile content and put it into your news feed and like 3 tips for people as they retire financially, right? And it's like, oh, I had no idea that you did that or involved in that. We were just talking about pickleball the other day. I actually do need help with that. So there's still a way to end up in front with the business content in front of them without having to do it inside the group and create that affinity. So one kind of little quick tip, but there's all kinds of strategies like that.
Yeah, that's brilliant, David. Thank you for sharing that. Now, for somebody that's brand new and maybe they've been kind of standing at the edge of the precipice, but they're kind of afraid to take that first uncomfortable step and, jump and build their wings on the way down. If you could give them one action step that they could take today to get started, besides just getting started, what would that first step be?
The first step would just be doing a little intro post on your profile. I think that's the easiest thing that someone could take action on. Even if you're scared, of video, then you can do it as a written post with a picture of you, like a selfie picture, for example. You definitely want you in the picture, preferably where they can see your eyes and smiling. Psychologically helps build trust versus sunglasses and not smiling, for example. And if you're comfortable with a little like 1 minute video around it, even better. But a little bit of, hey, everybody, welcome to my profile. I'm David, and this is why and this is who I help protect and what I do and why I got into this. This is how you could help me by either reaching out or connecting me or just liking or commenting on my post. And if you're happen to be a real estate agent, I find we have a lot of synergies. Would love to connect with you. Just a little quick video or post that you can actually pin it to the top of your profile. So it's always the first post people see when they come there. And when people do those, we've had so many clients do their very first like intro or video and end up doing 5, 10, 15,000 commissions of people reaching out from that post, for example. So just putting that out there is a first step and a first way for people to get to know you, who you are, what you do. Because you can mention the personal aspects there too. I also love pickleball. I love spending time with my wife and my dog, right? And all that helps with who are you and what do you do a bit as a part of that post. So I would encourage people doing that and putting out there because what you'll find when it comes to organic social media, it definitely different with paid ads where it brings out all the crazy comments and people there. But with organic, people tend to be very kind, very nice, very supportive. So a lot of people, when they're afraid, do their first post like, man, I had people I hadn't seen in years come out and cheer me on or say congrats or even reach out wanting policies from me of a cousin that hadn't talked to me in years all of a sudden. And that was just for me starting to put a piece of content out. So that's where I think a lot of people, the fear starts going down. They start to be encouraged and they're like, hey, I want to do more of this. This is really cool. I can put out posts and people want to talk to me and connect with me. So that's the first step I would really encourage them is it helps remove some of those limiting beliefs, those fears that aren't actually true.
Absolutely. So David, for the agent or advisor that's doing seminars now, many of them may not realize that they can do an event where they can actually schedule that event in social media and use social media as a tool to help drive additional traffic to that event that they're doing. Can you speak on that for just a minute and some of the advantages of utilizing that in addition to the direct mail they may be using now?
Yes. So as far as like the actual like Facebook like event, like creating an event there, it doesn't promote or notify as much as it used to in the past. So, I mean, that can be nice to kind of organize for something, but generally I usually want my own like landing page or somewhere to direct off or to a registration from there where I can be more control of sending them an SMS or an email and have their contact information that I can make sure that they're showing up, or I can have my team reach out to remind people and all that kind of stuff. So I generally more encourage that than versus just creating an event, inviting it to people, because Facebook doesn't do as much as it used to actually make sure people know about it and get there. But social media can be an amazing way for people to supplement in driving additional people to in-person seminars that they're doing. Because the more I can drive off of social, my organic, that's more cost I'm saving on direct mail, making that event even more profitable. Because obviously, the lower I keep my operational costs on an in-person event, the more profitable it is for me, the easier it is for me to throw more of them, right? Because that's everybody's sphere. I put out my direct mail, I buy my steak dinners for everybody, and then I need to convert a certain amount off of this. So if I can drive people through social organically to there, especially if they already know who I am, a bit about me. They see me have videos. I can actually have that in front of them leading up to the event where they're like, man, this already kind of makes sense with the approach that you're about to talk about. I'm really looking forward to learning about this versus I filled out a card and I'm here for something with a free steak dinner. You're going to end up also with a higher quality at the events as well, and the ability to nurture them post event, where if they didn't convert right at the event and book the meeting there, I'm still in front of them post event where I can bring them through 2 weeks or a month later and get even more conversions out of the people that I've had there, right? So there's a lot of benefits to not only driving to in person, but we've seen people who also do in person now open up to doing like a virtual webinar once a month or seminar once a month, and being able to also drive people virtually to that, where now any conversions are really pure profit because they didn't have to put out the expenses of the building or location. And maybe people that's harder for them to travel, whether kids or their seniors, now can come attend virtually and get that information too as well. So it really works all around whatever the marketing is that you are doing.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend in Chicago that does social media, and he was telling me that in some of the groups they've been working with, that they're finding that when they're doing a seminar event, there's a specific segment that will attend a live in-person event, whether food or non-food. But there's also another cohort that will attend a virtual event, but would never go to a live in-person event. And they found that the correlation was almost completely non-correlated. There was maybe 3 or 4% overlap and those that would attend both versus one that would attend one or the other. So the ability to invite two audiences, one to live in person and another to an online version of that same event, they're increasing for a nominal cost their ability to get in front of more people and tell their story.
You're maximizing your profitability because when you put a physical event on, which I love in person. I mean, we met in person, right? In person's so great to get to connect with people, have conversations, and if I get to sit with someone in person for an hour, like conversion rates are also obviously so much higher when you really get to sit, but your time's limited, and also for whatever reason, I can't make that day or time. I had a doctor's appointment scheduled then. I had to go visit my aunt, cousin, but I could be the perfect fit for how you're helping solve a problem for me. I could come hop on that virtual one. So it just makes sense really to do both, versus only focusing in person because you're missing a large segment that, like you said, for whatever reason, it may just be really tough for them to get somewhere in person, or the I don't trust you enough or know much enough about you to go arrange everything to try to come to an in-person thing. But I would be willing to sit down at home in my comfort for an hour on a webinar of something I know is important for me to learn about.
Yeah. So David, you and Elle have built an incredible following in a community that's online. You practice what you preach. For agents and advisors that may want to connect with you and Elle and learn more about what you do and really get some of the tips and resources that you guys share on a regular basis, how do they find you?
So the easiest thing, and we practice what we preach also, like leading with value, right? Like I want to show people, teach them, help them build trust of like, hey, I trust these people. I know they do what they say they're going to do. I've learned from them. We've done so many free trainings that people like, I want to apply that. And I got additional sales, referrals. I'm going to do social now. So we have a free Facebook group that we've run for 8 years called Marketing for Insurance Agents. We kept the name super simple. It's literally just called Marketing for Insurance Agents. It's almost 37,000 insurance agents and advisors in there, all different lines all across the US. And so that's also great for referral partner relationships. A lot of PNC hates touching life and health. A lot of life and health for very good reason doesn't do PNC also. So we try to encourage referral relationships. We do weekly trainings in there. We drop 2 to 3 podcast episodes a week in there with amazing people. Like you may see an upcoming one with John soon if you stay tuned there, and maybe even his daughter as well. And so we try to make it a really really valuable community. There's no recruiting in there. There's no pitching of services. So it's just value based as a part of that community there. So that's probably one of the easiest places to hop in, start learning, see who we are, how we act. Like we are 100% the same way in person as we are here. We're a little silly. We're fun. We like to encourage people to have fun with their businesses. And really, we know social might be new and we like to ease people into that. So that's probably the easiest place for people to learn, connect, hop into that free Facebook group community. And if you'd like to learn more of, hey, what would it look like to work with you guys in a program to grow and scale, happy to talk about that too. But hey, the very first thing, go hop in the free group, start learning and get some value from all the trainings that we do there.
Yeah, I knew I was going to have fun when you walked into the room carrying a lightsaber. Anybody that walks into the room carrying a lightsaber is like me walking in a room wearing my karate gi. Somebody knows something's going to go down. It's going to be a little bit unusual, but that's okay. That's how you get noticed and have an opportunity to stand out and be unique. So,
I don't
Dave,
think my lightsaber is going to protect me against your martial arts skills. I loved you and your gi, so you killed it with your keynote.
awesome, very good. So, wrapping up, any final comments, any thoughts? If you could leave one word of wisdom with our audience today, what would that look like?
I would say try something new, right? Like anything you start with is new the first time, calling a lead for the first time, knocking a door for the first time, running a seminar for the first time. And so social media is probably something new for you. So I'd encourage you, just like anything, try it out. You'll probably be nervous at first, probably be a little scary, but just like those other areas of your business that are old hat now, it's like, well, if I really start doing this and putting this in place, this will become comfortable. This will become a huge opportunity for my business. So I encourage people, try something new, and it's okay to be you. In fact, that's heavily encouraged. And that's one of the things that we focus on is authenticity. You can be you on social. You don't have to be anybody else because there's only one you.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, David, I want to say thank you. It was a pleasure to get to meet you and your wife at the SWAT conference a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. I'm sorry Elle couldn't be with us, so please give her our very best. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions or concerns, one more time, David, how do they find you on Facebook?
If you just search marketing for insurance agents, that's the name of the Facebook group. You'll see a picture of me and Elle pop up where we're pointing or waving, and it'll say about 37,000 agents in there. That'll be the right group for you to hop into.
Absolutely. So again, David, thank you for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found value in this podcast. And what we try to do with every single episode is to give you tips, tools, and resources to help you become better at who you are and what you do so you can continue to serve your audience on an ever higher level. So on behalf of all of us here at Legacy Marketing Group, Dr. John Terry, thanks for joining me and have a great day.